So basically, in terms of process, we're just going to share with you something that came up with over the last 2 or 3 months. It's a distillation. It's very crude, but it's a provocation in some senses to examine some of these questions. This is politically incorrect. And why don't you go for the first one?
So I just read it out? Okay, we're here not to build a city, but a society. That's one belief. Counter belief, we are here to build a city, not a society. And possible example of integration, we are here to build a city and a society manifested in the form of a city.
We've seen this debate yesterday. Auroville must grow organically, or Auroville needs to be planned. Of course, we can go beyond the two dichotomies and say Auroville will be built with plans that allow for flexibility and organic growth within a planned framework.
Oh, here's a nice one.
The really big elephant who's been trapped.
This one has just come in. We must build Auroville according to the galaxy plan. The galaxy is outdated and we need a new plan. We build Auroville with the galaxy as an urban design concept while ensuring sustainable development that takes into account the natural resources and environment, contemporary insights in building technologies with low levels of embodied energy and urban plans that create a regenerative town. Kwan, stand up. You were the one who did this.
Oh, well, we're not calling out mahouts of elephants at the moment. All lands of Auroville are sacred and should not be exchanged or sold. This is a big wow. You can see why it's done. Even the projector knows that that's a dangerous one. It's coming back. The other view of it is we need to urgently consolidate the lands of Auroville, starting with the city lands, and there was some targets and etc. in some places. And since we lack funding, some land exchange cannot be avoided, especially if the government of India cuts off more money from us. So you could use land exchange or sales as a means to consolidate city lands and obtain statutory land use protection for the green belt area. We heard a debate on this yesterday on how complex it is to make this happen. This is a really hard one, not only in its articulation but in its implementation. This is, I think, one of the really hard things to try and deal with.
Here's a very topical one after the growth. Population of Auroville needs to grow faster towards the planned population of 50,000. There is no need for population growth. Quality is more important than quantity. Possible. Quality and quantity are not mutually exclusive. Quality without a certain quantity does not fulfill the need of a replicable model. Quantity without quality is not sustainable.
This is a very hard one on the implementation side. We had a discussion yesterday at lunch on how we could actually bring in resources from the government of India to make things possible. We have a real problem here. Technically, Auroville is classified as being a village. In the Indian framework, you come under a cluster of villages, you come under a constitutional provision in which you're a Panchayati Raj institution, if you come to that frame. You're not coming to the frame. If you want to become an urban area, unfortunately for India, our bar is a little high. You have to have 10,000 people to be classified as a census town. So if that becomes your aspiration and you're governed by a constitutional provision that means that you're a village, you have some real challenges. So, there's also the reality talking back and forth in this process. Okay. Yes, of course. I mean, this is a big one. We haven't even decided to talk about this. In Auroville, everything must be... Sorry. In Auroville, everything must be decided by the Residents' Assembly. We need a centralized, strong administration. The Resident Assembly organizes the work and activities of Auroville by setting up working groups which are empowered to implement their mandates, roles and responsibilities without interference at the implementation level.
Oh, I like this one. Not a single tree must be cut in Auroville. All trees that have been planted in areas that are earmarked for urban development need to be cut. Many trees were planted to arrest topsoil erosion, with the knowledge that at some point in the future these trees will have to be transplanted or cut. Respect the built-up open and green ratio of the SETI, 48%, 52%, and of the green belt, 5%, 95%.
Hard one.
No applause.
Aureville's education, in Aureville's education, no certificates should be issued. Certificates in education are needed for higher studies outside Auroville. We've heard that at least 3 or 4 times yesterday. Do not study for certificates, but ask for one if needed as a reference for studies outside Auroville. This is an interesting way forward.
In Auroville, there should be full freedom in terms of work and commitments. In Auroville, there should be even more discipline than in the outside work, and everyone needs to work full-time for the collective. Follow the guidelines of the mother, whereby each individual works for a minimum of 5 hours per day, 7 days a week for the collective.
The Auroville economy should be 100% in kind. We are not ready for an in-kind economy and need to continue with a money-based economy for some years. We can have an economy that works with in-kind currencies such as kilowatts hours for energies, etc., etc., or acres under cultivation for food. There was a very interesting discussion on this yesterday.
There should be no grid power in Auroville.
And to start with,
not in the green belt. We can have grid power everywhere in our TNEB we're talking about. The question is not grid connectivity, but energy sourcing. If we obtain our energy from sustainable sources, the grid functions as a demand-supply balancing system. Guess who put that?
Okay, so there are lots of these things. There's something on centralized water. Let's keep running. Okay, this might be an important one here. Auroville must be completed with a time frame. If we do not hurry up, the outside world will crush Auroville or reduce it to a suburb of Pondicherry. Guess who said that? Auroville must develop at its own pace. Timelines and targets do not work here. Work with plans that include quality, quantity, and time parameters, and revalidate these plans periodically.
We should first reach the level of consciousness that the mother wanted in Auroville, and only then can we build the town and attract more people.
Bring it down, bring it down. Down.
We have to first build the town, and the town will attract more people who will collectively develop the consciousness that seeks to manifest in Auroville. The building of the town and the growth of consciousness will go together. The physical growth of the town will attract people and activities. People and activities will attract physical development. The town with its people is the laboratory of evolution.
Mother said, so we should follow this. Mother clarified that the truth is evolutionary. Clarify when Mother is speaking of fundamental principles and when she's indicating an area when knowledge will develop according to the developing consciousness of the Aurovillians. 1M.
Everybody has a right to participate in decision making. Only those with proven competence should take decisions. Allow opportunity for community input, but empower competent individuals to interpret it, provided they keep the community informed of their decisions.
Governance should be in the hands of the most enlightened. Wisdom is distributed across the community, so everybody should be involved. Allow opportunity for community input, but empower competent individuals to interpret it, provided they keep the community informed of their decisions. Oh, how nice. A gremlin has crept in. Okay.
Get one along and on. Empowerment of minorities, the disadvantaged, inverted commas, or meritocracy. As far as possible, ensure that all voices are heard and that training in governance is provided to all sectors, but do not dilute the quality of the people in our key groups.
There's a question, Alan, about what meritocracy means.
Meritocracy means basically simply that the people who are best at something are the people who are given the right to do it and make decisions regarding it.
Simple one. Centralized decision making, decentralized decision making. Centralized decisions made on the base of local input.
The need for rules and guidelines, and every case is different. Provide broad guidelines which allow for individual interpretation. Empower our groups to make exceptions when needed.
Auroville should keep experimenting with new structures and approaches. We should rely upon old ways until we have the consciousness to use new ones. Encourage widespread experimentation on alternative means of governance in small groups, like 200 of us here. When something seems scalable, try it for a probation period in a larger work group with a fallback option to resume normal service if it doesn't work out. So anyway, this was a list of 22. I'm sure we can do another 30 and we can ask the youth group to do a skit on it, but we thought we would actually share this with you. It's not, it's not fully formed. But these are the questions that we need to address as we move forward, among others. So we thought we would just share this with you, and the spirit is more important than the words that we put down there. And I think maybe we can move forward with that. Thank you, Alex.